coming up in episode 59.
So you give me a microphone and you put a speaker to it. Good luck to try and shut me up. Yeah, I do get reminded a lot often by these two guys, like Anjelica, a lot of like, we got to move it on. We got to move it on. And I'm like, you're right. Yes. Okay.
Welcome to another episode of The Little Radio Show. My name is Sandra Fernandez, and I'm joined by my co-hosts Juan, Alanis, and Anjelica Cazares, and we're bringing you small talk about big topics. This week, we have a conversation about what happens when you get so busy that you stop doing important things like bringing other topics to your radio show. Just a reminder that you can catch us every week on Thursdays at 2 p.m. Central Time on hmsnetradio.org. Our show archives and the link to our iTunes and Stitcher channels are available at thelittlерadioshow.com. The Little Radio Show is brought to you in partnership with juanofwords.com and hispanichouston.com. Ways you know that Juan and Anjelica and I have gotten much too busy is that, one, we haven't mentioned a TV show in weeks, which means that we're not up to date on our TV viewing. So, for example, I know for a fact that Empire just started, and Juan hasn't mentioned, and Juan and I have been talking for at least 45 minutes, and he hasn't watched it yet. The other way is...
And I want to know who fell over the ledge.
Seriously, that's just wrong.
I want to know which one of the two girls is dead.
And everyone out there who's been watching Empire, and it's been a couple of weeks at this point since it's run, they're all like, oh dear Lord, really? The other way that you know that we're really, really busy is that we come into the show and we've got not a single topic picked out.
Basically,
for those of you who don't know, Juan, Anjelica, and I recently launched a business together, like not the radio show, a business together. So every time we get together, we're supposed to be planning out the show, and instead we're talking about, oh, we owe this client that, and we owe that client that.
Well, it's not only that. It's we get together and we're supposed to be talking about like just like, how are you doing? How are you know? Because if y'all don't know out there, we're friends. And so a lot of the times our conversations don't lead that way anymore. A lot of times it's like, oh, by the way, blah, blah, blah needs this, blah, blah, blah needs that. Did you get the email? What did they mean by this? And it's like...
And then we throw in the like, you know what? We should do a happy hour one day.
Yes.
And then it never happens.
And 6 weeks later we go, oh yeah, that happy hour never happened. So I want to talk a little bit about what that actually looks like is when you're trying to run a business. And especially when you have personalities, it might be we all have our different strengths. And so I'm always the one who's always looking for the digital tech tool that's going to help us coordinate better. And poor Juan and Anjelica, we've worked together on a variety of projects over many years, and I have tried to pull them into many project management tools. And at this point, they just look at me and smile because they know that it's not happening. I love my project management tools, but they're not as fond of them.
No, we're not. And it's been about 2 or 3 of them at this point. And every time I'm like, I can't, Sandra.
We want to pull out the paper and the pen and just start writing and then scratching it off. And
we used to be on Basecamp, which didn't work so well for us. Basecamp is a wonderful tool. It just didn't work out for us. And then we were on Asana for a while, but it just didn't mesh with Anjelica's way of thinking.
No, it didn't.
And then
its
we were
on
Trello for a while, and I'm going to be honest, at Trello, I don't get Trello. I mean, I have a client who uses it, so I'm very familiar with it. I'm very comfortable with it. I manage entire projects on it, but it's counterintuitive to how I think Trello is. So my preference is actually a Microsoft Word document with little bullet points on there that says what I have to do. However, we just started using Slack because I'm making them test it out.
Yes. So Juan I refused to do it, and so he grabbed my computer and he downloaded.
And I downloaded everything on her computer.
Yeah, he did. And I was like, okay, fine, I get it. This is working for you, which means I probably should get on it so we can have constant communication.
But I like Slack.
Oh, I love Slack.
It's like a private chat, like you know. And you can use it anywhere, and like it's just the people within the group that get to like see it or whatever, or the people in that little chat that get to see it. So that I'm like, oh, I like this. This I can use.
So the cool thing, Slack, basically, think of Facebook Messenger, private level, private label, that you only give access to the people that you want access to. And you can set it up to where anyone who has your company email address can join, or that where they have to have an invitation. And you create these little groups based on project or topic or whatever, and you go in and you can message people, you can attach documents, and etc. Now, if you're working on it on your computer, there's some really cool stuff you can do. You can star messages so that you can go back. You can put little notices on there for it to do a notification reminder to you, so that you know that you have to go back and take a look at it again.
See, I haven't gotten that in depth yet.
and on your computer, there's also a view where it will show you all your unread messages from all of the boards in there, which is really cool. For us, what we do is basically it's taken the place of email for our internal email. So we are not doing internal email anymore. What we're doing,
we would do the Facebook chat where I would be like, hey, I would ping you on Facebook, or I'd send you a text message, or and
so now it's all in one place.
Yeah, now it's just I just go to Slack and we.
And it's really cool, because what happens is, like, if I put in a link to a Google Drive document, it'll, have it there. So instead of me having to go hunt for it again, I can just scroll until I find it and click on it, and it'll open the document. The same thing was with Dropbox. So I'm actually, the thing about Slack is it's not a project management tool. It's a communications tool, which is very much helpful, because all we really need is a simple, effective way to share information back and forth.
Yeah, that's true. And I mean, for me, that's really been like, I think out of all of them, this one's been probably my favorite. This one and
the favorite one.
This one and Dropbox. Like
Dropbox,
when you showed me how to do the thing where now it's synced on my computer, it's synced on my laptop, it's synced on my phone, it's synced on the internet. So anywhere I am, I can pull whatever document I'm working off of, and I can access that. And I'm like, that's so cool.
I have a question. So do you your strengths, because you talked about, you're the techie person, you are the geeky person that comes to us, and you're like, did y'all see this? And we're like, no, that's like light years ahead of us. What are your strengths? What do you think your strengths are? Like, I'm asking both of you.
I'm going to tell you the stuff that I ping to Juan all the time is, soften this email for me. It's like, Juan, I need you to please take a look at this and soften the language for me, I beg of you. And that's actually a direct quote from 2 days ago. Juan does really, really well the client communications. Juan is very good at that. Juan is also very good at the relationship management part, especially as we're talking with media and other media and influencers. It just comes very naturally to him, as much as
I think you are very good at the details that are unseen, right? So all the little things that
dotting the I's and crossing the T's.
All the behind the scenes stuff.
Yeah. So it's a lot of non. You're not physically, it's a lot of communication that you do, Sandra, but I think sometimes you're very detail oriented. Make sure that you ask every question possible to get every answer possible. So it's basically, it's in the form, I don't want to say it like this, but it's kind of covering our butts.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Well, you're very pragmatic. You're like very like, I want to have all the information so that then I can make.
I want to have variety. I want to have choices.
Because there's some people.
But that's a good thing,
It is.
No, it really is.
It
helped
is.
us.
But on the
because you're thorough. Yeah.
On the other hand, it can slow you down.
Yeah.
Because that also means that until I have all the pieces, I really can't see the end.
I think I'm good at like multitasking. Like I'm good. I think I'm good at like having several projects going on at the same time. Like I always have like a bunch of stuff going on, and I try to keep myself organized and as much as possible. And I've learned over the years to get better organized. Like when we were on a call this week we were talking about a project with another client, and my thing was like I immediately got on the computer and I was like, I'm taking notes as we're talking, and I'm like typing everything that everybody's saying, and it's like you can hear me typing away, but I'm like, this makes it so much easier for me later because I can just come back and be like, well, wait a minute, who said what, and or what did we agree to in that call, or what is it that we're supposed to deliver? And so for me, just trying to be as organized as possible, like when I just at the end, at the start, helps me, But then I know like I can have like several pots going at the same time. Sometimes like, sometimes like anybody else, like you're like, oh wait, crap, like that shouldn't happen. But and, you try to avoid it as much as possible for that to happen.
So at the beginning of this of the episode, I started out with one of the ways that you can tell that we've gotten really busy is the fact that we didn't actually have a topic for today.
No,
so
we don't.
One of the things that happens to me is I start to strip away the things, like I stop going out with my friends, and then my family stops seeing me as often, and then I stop going to networking stuff and business development things, and after a while I become a hermit, and then I look up and I go, wait a minute, when was the last time I got up from my desk and talked to a person other than a client? It's like, oh, let's stop doing that. Yes.
I think my tendencies are is that I am very forgiving for a lot of things. Like I'm very forgiving, like, that didn't pan out, that didn't work out, let's move on. Like I'm not very focused on it. I can pick right back up and do whatever. I'm very much scattered like glitter. Like once it's like on the floor, it's I don't know if that's a strength or it's a weakness that I don't focus on like the bad.
But you remind us that the pretty is important.
Yeah.
Well,
because Juan and I are very much about function over form, and you remind us.
I love the fluff.
Yes, but it's important. We're not talking about inconsequential
No, not content. Yeah.
Yes, but you always bring up. It's like, wait a minute. If we take an extra 10 minutes, we can add these little things and it will make a difference. And it does make a difference. And so from that perspective, you're very visual, but you're also, what is it that Kathy Cano Murillo calls it, the cult of the glitter? You remind us that glitter's still important.
The glitter's still important. Yeah. And sometimes I've noticed that I've carried that often into conversations. So a lot of my conversations now, I think I've become watching you guys, and watching you guys network. I've taken my own lead on how I want to network. And so I've managed to be able to actually communicate with people on a different level other than business, which is good for business. And
that's what I was gonna say. I think you're really good at like creating like one-on-one relationships with people, like where people are like, they feel very comfortable with you and they like call you or they text you or they're telling you or they tell you very personal things because I think they just feel comfortable. I think you're a good like ringleader. Like when we're at a social event and part of our job is to like get things going and get people excited.
Well, bring out the mic. Yeah,
it's
you know what? I think that's all that says is that I talk too
much. In there. Yeah, get in there and make it happen.
Yeah, it's an indication that I talk way too much. That's what happens. So you give me a microphone and you put a speaker to it. Good luck to try to shut me up. Yeah, I do get reminded a lot often by these two guys, like Anjelica, a lot of like, we got to move it on. And I'm like, you're right. Yes. Okay. And then I go off and my world goes back to La La Land and I get a few stares from Juan and Sandra, like, Anjelica, come back. And I'm like, yes, I'm coming back. But I learned a lot of this stuff from you guys. So lately Juan has seen me that I've been like in the corner and he says that I have a face. I'm like, I don't realize because I'm thinking of other things, but he's like, Anjelica, you're not like, you're not the usual. So I think I noticed there was a difference in me and the way I communicate and network was based on like your reaction to me. And you're like, you're not clicking the way you usually do. And I was like, no, you're right. I'm not, because I'm thinking of other things. But Sandra's the same way. You can walk up to anybody and have a conversation. And just like that.
Yes. And I've always been able to do that, but we've had this talk in a previous episode, and I don't remember what episode number it is off the top of my head, about how, but to me, as an introvert, it doesn't mean that I'm shy. It doesn't mean that I can't go out and talk to people and go do the party scene, the talk scene, the social scene. It just means that I need to recharge by having some alone time. To me, that's exhausting. That is work. That is like going out and running 5 miles or something. It's exercise. It's something that is actually taking a toll on me. But I can, and I've been in many different situations where I have to engage with other people, either from a personal perspective or from a professional perspective on behalf of a client, etc. And it's not that hard for the most part. It's going out and talking to people. I could talk about nothing forever.
But see, I think the thing is, like, you know, for me, this is like, networking is a learned skill that I'm still developing, but it's a learned skill that I've improved on over the last years, because I think, you know, a couple of years ago, like, I probably was a horrible networker. Like, I just didn't know what conversations to have.
But what do you consider to be a good networker? Because I have a friend who's in sales, and she does not consider it to be an effective networking event unless she comes out with just a handful of business cards.
But see, for me, it's not about the business cards. For me, it's about starting to build a relationship.
Yeah, it's not how many connections you make.
So it's like coming away with something that I'm gonna remember about you, that next time we run into each other, I'm gonna be like, oh, hey, you know what? Like, how's this going now? Or, you know, how are things with the thing that we talked about the last time? So for me, I look at it more as a relationship. Like, you know, let's start building a relationship. That's my whole thing. And so for me, that's my, like, what I take away from it. But I think what I don't have, or I'm working on improving, I think you're quicker on your feet, like, than I am.
Sandra?
Like, yeah.
Definitely. Yes.
Like, when
she springs into action.
Like,
she
you
sees
know,
it. Yeah.
Well, you know, you're quick to, like, have a quick comeback real soon. And for me, it takes me a little while. I'm like, wait a minute.
No, okay.
Like, let me process.
If you guys missed that, we've been at this kind of business work and I was kind of pulled into it by Juan, but Sandra and Juan have been into it longer than I have, way longer than I have, and very good at it. So a lot of the times when you're in this space, you understand that sometimes there's a lot of sometimes what can happen, not a lot of, I'm sorry to say that. What can happen, and I've seen happen, was a lot of very, like, backhanded comments, and it takes
not even backhanded comments. I think it's like, just in general, like, just a conversation, like, but you know, when you're having a conversation and the conversation flips to something else, or somebody says something funny, and then, like, me, it takes me a minute to, like, process it. I'm like, wait, like, okay, that was the joke. Oh, okay. And then, like, I laugh about it. But I think Sandra's quicker, where she's like, she gets the joke and she like, oh, you know what? I know another joke too.
Yeah. Well, not so much backhanded like that, but a lot of the conversations can take place. Well, me personally, when I hear that conversation go in that direction, like, I tend to close in, right? And I'm like, oh my goodness. But I've learned from Sandra, it's like, not that you don't back down, but you don't let it intimidate you.
And she
easily.
Makes it and she does it so politely.
And she does it so politely, right?
Yes, Mom, I'm capable of being polite. All of your work actually worked.
No, but I walk away, you know, I tend to, like, you know, break in and, like, no, I can't. That's not going to allow me. And Sandra's like, hold on. And she'll say something in return, and I'm like, oh, I got to walk away. But I've seen it happen to you, Sandra, once or twice, you know, in these many years. So no, it doesn't happen. But
you know what? We've actually had the conversation, like, Anjelica and I, where I was like, man, Sandra's so sharp. Like, she's so, like, quick on her feet.
She's on it. Like, yeah. It's like just like that. And and so.
And I'm like, I want to, like, that's one thing I need to work on, is, like, I need to be able to, like, what do they call it now? The clap back?
The clap back. No, but we've sat around tables before where we've sat, like, at galas and stuff, and nobody's having a conversation. It feels very awkward. And Sandra just, like, comes in and is like, and we can talk about anything. All of a sudden, she's having a conversation, and other people are, like, joining in on top of whatever it is that being said. You know, it can be, and it's very lighthearted conversation. So nobody's like, oh, what happened? You know, my dog, you know, whatever. And I seen somebody, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's not like, it's never in depth. It's always very much like
small talk.
Yeah,
small
it's
talk.
Very small, but it's very enjoyable small talk. It's not like small talk. You know, sometimes a lot of I don't want to say
it's
not
the
weather.
go-to, like, how's the weather
doing? Yeah, you know what I mean?
It's Houston.
I know. That's going to get you some hostility right off the back.
Like, it's been hot. What do you mean about the weather?
And this is the Sandra. You gave a great example.
But like, what like when you're busy?
Yes.
Like, what are the things that you cut out? Like, besides just seeing people, but like, what are the things that you're like?
I stopped buying groceries.
So
I end up doing a lot of fast food because I stopped buying groceries. So I stopped cooking as well. Those are things that stop happening. I stopped doing leisure time with my family as much. So, like, there's a certain amount. My family is very social. Oh my goodness. Lunches, dinners, get together, shopping trips. They've all learned to just accept that I'm not like the rest of them. And they forgive me so many no's, but there comes a point at which I start to annoy them. And so I have to remind myself, okay, I have to actually start spending time with my family again. I'll forget that. Like, okay, I won't have had lunch or dinner with anyone in a couple of weeks, which doesn't sound like all that much, but to my family, that's forever. My friends will start being like, you know what? I've forgotten what your face looks like. Send me a note for God's sake. You're not,
smoke signal, something.
I stopped messaging people. I stopped doing like the lighthearted casual stuff. I stopped going out to movies and, so it starts to pull in, and you'll notice what I didn't say I stopped doing. I didn't say I stopped taking phone calls from clients or I stopped doing work, because that tends to become the focus.
Right.
Is I'm trying to get my work done. And so I start to sacrifice all the quote unquote work-life stuff, all the fun stuff, all the stuff that I'm supposed to be enjoying so that the work gets done. Right. And this is something that I do fairly frequently. Look, my friends in family are used to it, and so they'd be like, "Oh, you've been really busy," and then I think about it, I'm like, "Yeah, okay, I need to stop," because it's not a question of that I'm not busy. I am busy, but sometimes it's just a matter of you let it get like that.
Yeah.
For me, anyway.
Yeah. What do you do?
Well, to me, I start being like,
you become one with the computer for sure.
I do. Like,
he's a grumpy Gus.
Yes. Have you noticed that one? Yeah.
I start getting like, very like focused. Like I feel like I'm going on the computer, but I haven't gone lately. I haven't gone to the park. I haven't I haven't
updated my blog.
I haven't done any exercise. I have done that because that's part of the business as well for me. And so I haven't gone to the park. I haven't exercised. I haven't I just cooked today. I hadn't really cooked in a while, and I had started cooking a little bit more often because I was I started making salsas and stuff like that, and that was the base of my cooking
for everything.
But I hadn't done that, and today I was like, you know what, I'm gonna do it because
those men and their sauces. Let me tell you,
I'm I gotta do it today because I need the break to just get away from the computer. And then the other thing I do is I start being selective, very selective about where events that I'm gonna go to, am I gonna go? Is there a purpose that I can see for me being there or not being there? And so that's where I start being selective on that end,
So when is it? I'm sorry, did I cut you off?
No, but I mean, but there's certain things that I that are priority for me that I'm I'm not gonna stop this no matter what. And that's and the one thing that's for me that I think is a priority is this right now, going to Edgar soccer games. I want to go to them. I want to be there. And so for me, I made that a priority. Two, going to see my parents. I'm still going to go see my parents. So no matter how busy I am, I'm going to go visit them. And I think things like that are the priority for me. But I just start cutting everything else off. And I haven't even watched any TV.
That's why he doesn't know who fell over the rail in Empire.
I had to watch, we were watching something on the computer the other day, and it was one of Anjelica, who's a telenovela actress, and it was one of her telenovelas, and I told Angelica, let me turn it off, because if I watch enough, I'm gonna get hooked. I don't want to get hooked.
So let me explain to you how I watch television. I have two 24-inch monitors, and I've got four. I've got four windows open in between those two screens, and one of them is running a video or the TV or something. So I'm not really looking at it. It's more like background noise, while I'm working. But that's how I watched. What was the new? There's that new Kiefer Sutherland show.
Oh yeah, where he's the president or something. Yeah.
And so I had to watch that. It's I actually watched that live. Oh my God, not on demand, but in real time. When was the last time you watched a show in real time?
You know what?
Seriously.
You know what I like watching real time are the morning newscast shows.
Oh, I don't watch the morning news.
When I wake up, that's what I like to do. I like to have that in the background.
Back CNN. Yeah, he does a lot of the background of CNN.
I like to have the background of CNN going, but then they just start repeating the stories, and I'm like, okay, it's time to change it or turn it off because it's enough.
So, but one of the things that I do, what I tend to do is that, unlike Juan, is when I know I'm really busy is when people start telling me, my mom will call me, hey, you live a block away and I haven't seen you for a month. And I'm like, oops. But I start looking for fluffy things to do. I'm like, I need to go do something else. So I'll drag like some of my craft stuff to my, that's when I know I've become too busy, because I'll drag some of my craft stuff to my bed. I'll sit on my bed and I'll force myself to turn on the hot glue gun and start piecing things to anything other than staring at a screen or reading something or reading an email or doing something else. And, or, you know, if I do happen to have a chance to hang out with my family loves, like yours, loves to hang out. But I find myself like looking on my phone to read emails, to read updates, to read all kinds of things. And they're like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm just nothing. I'm just like looking at my phone. They're like, stop. Can you join us? Like, can you partake in all of this that's happening? But that's one of my biggest things is that I disconnect a lot.
From
when
family?
Things became yes, from family, from you, from like social media. I won't updates. I'll disconnect.
Yeah, like I've gotten progressively worse. I'm bad at that. Like where I don't update on social media for like days and
I just disconnect.
Like like on my personal stuff, like I on my personal profiles, like I just won't
you won't update anything.
I just won't update a lot.
So
like there's like on the blog stuff I do update just because there's a lot of stuff out there that I can update about. But like when it comes to me, like personally, like I'm like busy and my mind's not there to be like, you know, hey, I'm taking a selfie.
It sounds like it's something that we all do fairly the same way, is that we just tend to start focusing on the work part and everything else just goes to the wayside, except for the things that we absolutely know we can't not do.
But it seems like you, like Juan,
y'all made me think about this.
So you two guys, y'all tend to, it feels like, and I've seen you, Sandra, when you're awake at times, and you guys are having conversations, and and I'm like, oh my goodness, they're still working. A lot of that happens a lot of the times.
But I saw this the other day on Facebook, and I reposted it because I was like, yes, that's exactly my mentality, and that's why I disappear.
Can you explain what the picture is?
So the picture is like it's like a black and white picture.
Mange of a lion.
It's like the lion. Like the head of the lion, and then in the wording it says, "Work hard in silence. Let your success be the noise." And I was like, that's totally like my mentality. Like that's totally like me. Like I just like
yes, but
I am the noise.
The reason that people hire us is because someone's got to make noise on your behalf.
Yeah.
But needless to say, I tend to. What I was gonna say was that I tend to like be like, I need to watch a movie. I don't care what I watch. I don't care if it's bad. Anything. But you guys can go hard. Oh my goodness!
But you do need the fun stuff. I mean, you do need to like binge watch like something. Like every once in a while, you need to get out and like hang out with friends. You need to go out and have a drink.
I think we're talking way too much here. But Sandra, I have to ask this. Do you have a program that you run in the background that is just that you know what it is, and you really don't have to pay attention, but you need to listen to something?
All of them.
Oh yeah.
So it just depends. If I just need the background noise and I want something that's not really going to distract me, then I won't run videos. Videos will distract me. Like videos, I'll find myself turning around to see what's going on when I hear that something interesting is going on, right? If I don't mind something that's going to distract me every once in a while, I'll run the videos. For as much as I joke about, I run videos all day, I don't actually. However, the podcasts, that's what I actually run when I need,
like something in the background.
Yes, when I need something in the background. But you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to invite everyone to reach out to us and tell us what you end up doing when you start to get so busy that you start to delete stuff and ignore stuff, or maybe you don't do that. I'd love to hear from you. And that's today's show. Most new listeners of this show found out about it through a friend or a blog post. If you're someone who has told someone else about the Little Radio Show, thank you so much. Really, it means a lot to us. Keep telling your friends, and if you happen to write something about the show, send us a link or tag us somehow so we can share it. Thank you for joining us for another episode of The Little Radio Show. We invite you to check out our iTunes and our Stitcher channels and leave us a rating or a review. You can find the link to both channels at thelittleradioshow.com.